Hey class, we're back today and we're talking about the Middle Ages. Uh, we're talking about the Crusades today, and the Crusades was a holy war over Jerusalem, fought between the Europeans and actually there was like nine different Crusades, but it was the first one, which we'll talk about more about than any of them, was between the Europeans and the Turks or Seljuk Turks. Uh, they they had banned pilgrimage from Europe over to uh, to Jerusalem in 1070, and they said, "Hey, well, we want this, we want to be able to use this land too." So these crusades, they were holy war, and a lot of people died during these wars, and it lasted for a couple of hundred years. So that's what we're talking about today. Like I said, it was a series of wars during the Middle Ages where the Christians of Europe tried to retake control of Jerusalem and the Holy Land from the Muslims. And like I said, there were nine altogether.
Crusades. The Crusades were a series of wars during the Middle Ages where the Christians of Europe tried to retake control of Jerusalem and the Holy Land from the Muslims. There were nine altogether.
All right, so why did they want control of Jerusalem? Well, Jerusalem was important for a number of religions during the Middle Ages. First of all, it was important to the Jewish people because it was the original site or original temple to God built by King Solomon. It was important to the Muslims because it's where they believed Muhammad ascended to heaven, and it was important to Christians because it's where Christ was crucified and then rose again. So that's why it was important for these different religions. Jerusalem was, and they wanted to be able. Well, a lot of them wanted to have control of it instead of just being a part of it. So that's what brought about the Crusades.
Why did they want control of Jerusalem? Jerusalem was important to a number of religions during the Middle Ages. It was important to Jewish people as it was the site of the original temple to God built by King Solomon. It was important to the Muslims because it was where they believed Muhammad ascended to heaven, and it was important to Christians as it is where Christ was crucified and rose again.
All right, so the Crusades were between the armies of Europe, mostly the Holy Roman Empire, and the Arabs that had control of Jerusalem. In the first Crusade, Europe battled the Seljuk Turks, and and that's one we're going to focus on more than the rest of them. I touch on the rest of them a little bit, but I don't. We don't go into all nine because it would take me forever in this lesson if I did. So, but that's who it was between the armies of Europe, the Holy Roman Empire, and the Arabs that had control of Jerusalem at the time.
Who fought in the Crusades? The Crusades were between the armies of Europe, mostly the Holy Roman Empire, and the Arabs that had control of Jerusalem. In the First Crusade, Europe battled the Seljuk Turks.
All right. So there are around 30,000 soldiers from Europe in the First Crusade. The very first crusade, they had about 30,000 soldiers. They were made up of knights, peasants, and other commoners. Uh, some wanted, to show their skills, okay, and their fighting skills, and some saw the way, hey, we can get rich. We can get rich doing this, and take some things, so. But others saw it as a way to get into heaven by coming and doing this. So, but just remember, there's around 30,000 soldiers from Europe in the First Crusade.
Who fought continued. There were around 30,000 soldiers from Europe in the First Crusade. They were made up of knights, peasants, and other commoners. Some saw the army as a way to get rich and try out their fighting skills, while others saw it as a way into heaven.
All right, so the initial crusade began when the Seljuk Turks took control of the Holy Land. All right, and when they did this, prior to that, they had allowed Christians to come pilgrimage to visit the city of Jerusalem. Well, in 1070, they said, no, that's not going to happen anymore. All right, they took control and they began to refuse Christian pilgrims into the area. And when they did that, the Christians of Europe got upset about this.
How they got started. The initial crusade began when the Seljuk Turks took control of the Holy Land. Prior to this, the Arabs had been in control of the land. However, the Arabs had allowed Christians to pilgrimage and visit the city of Jerusalem. In 1070, when the Turks took control, they began to refuse Christian pilgrims into the area.
So the Byzantine Emperor Alexis I called for help from the Pope with defending his empire from the Turks, and he wanted to help push them out of the Holy Land. And the Pope helped to gather an army, primarily with the help of the Franks and the Holy Roman Empire. So Byzantine Emperor Alexis had the Pope, and the Pope brought in soldiers from the Holy Roman Empire.
How it began continued. Byzantine Emperor Alexis I called for help from the Pope with defending his empire from the Turks and to help push them out of the Holy Land. The Pope helped to gather an army, primarily with the help of the Franks and the Holy Roman Empire.
All right. So how many crusades were there in total? How many crusades were there in total? Was it A1, B9, or C15? There were 9 different crusades.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
All right, number 2. Who all wanted control of Jerusalem? A, Mr. Betts, B, King Harold, or C, Christians, Jewish, and Muslims all wanted control of Jerusalem for their own various reasons. It is C, Christians, Jewish, and Muslims.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Number 3, who fought in the Crusades? A, European armies and Arabs, B, France and Spain, or C, North and South? It was A, the European armies and Arabs fought in the Crusades, primarily the first Crusade. That's what we talked about today. I wasn't going to go into all 9 of these Crusades. Number 4, how many soldiers were in the first Crusade from Europe? Was it A, 1,000, B, 15,000, or C, 30,000? There were 30,000 soldiers in that first Crusade.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
And number 5, who called for help from the Pope to begin the Crusades? A, King Harold, B, Emperor Alexis, or C, Mr. Betts? It was B, Emperor Alexis. He called the Pope for help, and the Pope got together the Holy Roman army.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
All right, class, that is all for the Crusades. If you need more detail on it, we'll probably talk about a little bit more about it. But I just wanted to cover more of the first one, how it began, than anything. Because I don't want to confuse you with different. Like I said, there were 9 different ones, so I didn't want to confuse you. Be sure to go on Schoology, read through here, turn it in, hit the submit button, and get credit. All right. I'll see y'all all next time.